It was raining that night. Thin, cold drops slicing through the silence. I parked down the street, watching the lights of my house blaze like a celebration of betrayal. Laughter spilled out through open windows. Wine glasses clinketed, music roared, and there at the gate sat my father, shivering. Old hands wrapped around his knees, eyes glazed with disbelief. He looked up when I'd approached, soaked to the bone. "Son," his voice trembled, "why won't they let us in?" That one question, soft, innocent, laced with hurt, burned through me like acid. 4 years, I thought I had it all figured out. A loving wife, supportive in-laws. A house I built from the ground up with every saved penny. When my mother died, my father became my only real family. I promised her on her deathbed I'd never let him live alone. So when my wife suggested he move in with us, I thought, finally, someone who understands. Her parents visited often, too often. They had opinions about everything. How my house should look, what my father should eat, how I should behave. I mistook their meddling for care. But care doesn't come with conditions. It started. Subtly, my father stopped joining dinner. He'd sit alone on the back porch, staring at the garden. I asked him once if everything was fine. He smiled weakly and said, "I think your wife's family doesn't like old people around." I brushed it off until the day I came home early from work. I heard laughter in the living room. My wife, her parents, her cousins. Then I heard my father's door. Click, shut. Moments later, her mother's voice carried across the hall. Finally, he got the hint. "That man smells like the grave. Your husband is blind to it, but we aren't." Silence followed. Then my wife whispered something that tore through me. "He'll be gone soon. I'll make sure of it." I remember standing outside that door, fists clenched, heart pounding. I didn't confront him that night. I wanted to. God knows I did. But something inside me whispered, "Wait." From that night onward, I became a ghost in my own home. I smiled, nodded, agreed. But every word they said, every sneer, every slight against my father, I recorded it all. Hidden mics in the living room, cameras disguised as decor, every conversation uploaded to a private cloud. And while they were busy mocking the man who gave me everything, I began shifting the ground beneath their feet. The house registered under my name was refinanced quietly. I moved assets, changed insurance beneficiaries, created a trust in my father's name. Every cent they thought they'd inherit was rerouted 10. Primera wa. That night, the night of the party, they crossed a line I didn't think they dared to. My father called me? Voice shaking. "They told me there's no room for me tonight," he said. "Said the guests won't be comfortable." He laughed softly, but it wasn't humor. It was heartbreak. I left the office without a word. When I reached the house, the gate was locked. He sat outside in the cold while they celebrated inside, drinking from my glasses, eating from my plates. And my wife, danced barefoot across the floor that I had built for our future. That's when I decided it was over. I walked my father to the car and drove him to a warm hotel, suite I'd booked earlier that week. "You'll sleep here tonight," I told him. "Tomorrow, things will change." He didn't ask what I meant. Maybe he already knew. The next morning, I walked into my house. Te parti. Aftermath, riot of arrogance and spilled wine. My in-laws were still there, half asleep on the couches. My wife looked up, startled. "You're home early," si murmuré. "Not home," I said quietly. "Just visiting." I placed a folder on the table. Inside, photos, recordings, financial documents, proof of their greed, their abuse, their manipulation. Her father snorted. "You think this will scare us?" I smiled. "No, I think the eviction notice taped to the front door will." They laughed until my lawyer walked in behind me. Then the color drained from their faces. The house was legally mine. The trust I created ensured that it and everything within it belonged to my father. Now they had 30 minutes to leave. When my wife realized what that meant, she broke. "You can't do this," she cried. "I can," I said, and I already did. They scrambled, shouting, cursing. Her parents packed frantically, shoving jewelry into bags. My wife begged, screamed, promised to change. But I didn't raise my voice, didn't move an inch. I just watched. When they finally left, the silence that followed was heavy, cleansing. I called my father. "Come home," I told him. And when he arrived, I handed him the keys. He looked at me, confused, tears welling up. "This is your home, Dad," I said. "Always was, always will be." He tried to speak, but the words caught in his throat. I could see the years of humiliation fade, replaced by quiet relief.